So Edwin is up first. Why don't you come on up and grab this microphone. And if you haven't used a microphone before, you put that end at your mouth and you talk.
I know how to use a keyboard.
All right, that works.
Yeah.
All right, he's an expert.
True.
A trained professional. Typically, it just crashed. Okay, and we have just crashed. So you're going to do your Ignite with no slides.
I don't mind. Hopefully I don't crash.
I'll strike a different pose every 15 seconds, and you can talk to my pose.
Are we good? Almost.
Uh-oh.
There.
Hey, there we go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. There we go. All right. My name is Edwin, and I'm going to talk about how to advance your career. I've heard a lot about burnout this morning, this afternoon, and I'm going to share with you some stories that I've experienced myself. So first question that you need to ask yourself is, where are you going? Why is that important? Because when you're traveling, you need to plan where you want to go, how you want to go from one place to another. Like in my case, I've got family in New York. I live in Canada. And whenever I do travel, I plan out where I want to go, put it on Google Maps. The first path is what I usually take. But that's just one aspect of it. The second one is I check, do I have a conference call on the day that I need to drive? It's an 8-hour drive. Do I have a conference call? Because I don't want to be stopping along the way. I want to plan. I want to look at my calendar. I want to make sure that nothing is in conflict for that day. I got family. So I got to put all of the stuff that we all need in the suitcase, put it in the car, and start driving. But that's just the vacation stuff, right? As I'm driving down from Canada, crossing the border down to the United States, I have to check, do I have enough fuel? You don't want to be driving your car without a fuel, or do you? Unless it's an electric car. While you're driving, you also need to check, am I overspeeding? Nobody complains about underspeeding. I also want to make sure that no cops are around, so I use Waze to make sure that it tells me whether or not I am overspeeding and if there's a cop. I also check whether or not my car is working fine. I don't want my check engine light blinking. I want to make sure that the car is fine as I'm driving that whole 8-hour stretch. But here's the thing though, how many of you actually plan your careers like this? We spend so much time trying to plan a vacation that would only take a week, 2 weeks, a month, yet we don't plan our careers like this. I'm taking this from a famous quote from one of those leadership guys that I've read. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I've used this a lot in my consulting gig. And yes, if you don't fail, or you don't plan, you fail. So I'm going to share with you what I call the PDA principle, something that I've learned from a highly stressful, highly pressured environment where I lived as a data center engineer back in those days. I call it the PDA principle, and these are principles that will help you plan your career. The first one is prioritize. What are the things that matter to you today? What are the things that are going to matter to you tomorrow, right? Why is that important? If you're an operations guy, your priorities are different. If you're a manager, your priorities are different. If you just got married, your priorities are different. You have to identify where you are at this phase in your life in order for you to know what to prioritize. Do you prioritize your health? Do you prioritize your career? And make sure that you're enjoying every part of it. If you're starting out in your career, you may want to prioritize learning everything because that's what your boss wants you to do. Maybe. Right? Now, keep in mind that you also have to prioritize your priorities. Part of prioritizing your priorities is putting what is important in the calendar. You have to discipline. D is for discipline. It's developing daily habits, which means if you really want something to happen in your life, you have to put it in your calendar. Here's what I believe in. If it's not in the calendar, it's not going to happen. So, do you prioritize your health? You have to schedule time in your calendar to exercise. Part of this is, of course, realizing that we can't do everything, right? This is the most difficult thing that we technical professionals have to accept, is the fact that we cannot do everything. If you're starting out in your career, yes, you might be tempted, yes, I need to do everything. But as you grow older, you have to accept the fact that you can't do everything, and in fact, admitting that you can't do everything is a sign of confidence, because you really want to focus on the things that you're really good at. And that is what the PDA principle is all about, and that is how you can grow your career throughout the progression. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin. That was great. Although you missed a dot at the end of the A, so I'm going to disregard the entire set of slides because you missed a dot in there.
It's not going to compile.
All right.
Oh.
Oh. Are you doing two? What?
Okay.
Is that what's happening? All right. Straight into his second.
Okay.
We're doing a double. Is this our first double ignite ever?
So, I did
and
share a bit of a story. This is my day job. I'm a consultant. I focus on SQL Server high availability, so name it. My job is to prevent outages for SQL Server database. That's my day job. Okay? But here's the thing, though. When I was traveling across Europe, this is something that I've seen a lot. Cars being transported with, fancy trucks. But why do we use trucks in the first place? Well, cars can go from one place to another. But why do we use trucks? I don't know, maybe to save gas? The point of this is that we use those because the car should be riding on top of something. In the same way, SQL Server high availability relies on another platform for high availability. And this platform is the Windows Server failover cluster. Okay? When you think about it, it's a group of computers that function together as a single unit, providing high availability to SQL Server databases. Meaning, SQL Server in itself is really not the one providing high availability. I wanted to show how I can use simple terminologies and analogies to make this simple. Depending on where you come from, the yellow light might mean something else. Okay? In a cluster, when something goes wrong, the service stops or the app stops. It waits until any one of the servers or nodes can take over the workload. That's all there is. Some engineers complicate things a lot. I like to make things simple. Stop, wait, and start. Think of it this way. Group of computers working together, looking like a single unit, depending on the number of servers, it doesn't matter. Client applications simply look at it as a single system. The cluster is taking care of health detection, meaning if something goes wrong, the cluster will then decide, do I move this application from here to here or to a different machine or computer? It's also taking care of failure detection. If the node that is running the database fails, then it makes a decision based out of that and moves it to any one of the available servers. Part of that is, of course, you want it to be highly available. You want it to take care of automatic failover. Otherwise, it's not going to be highly available. The platform in itself is what makes high availability possible for SQL Server. Now, there are two solutions, high availability solutions. I don't care what other people say. There are only two high availability solutions from SQL Server. The first one being is somehow falls under the concept of shared storage, meaning depending on, it really doesn't matter how many servers you have on your cluster, they still share the same underlying storage. Single copy of the database, just a single database that applications can use. When you think about the stop, wait, and start concept that we talked about earlier, in this case, if the server on your left fails, the server on the right takes over, and then the client application gets reconnected. The second solution is the always-on availability groups. This is the concept of a shared nothing architecture, meaning you can have as many SQL Server databases as you want, but only one server is serving the client applications. The SQL Server is now taking care of replicating the database on every single instance. This takes care of you having multiple databases, but only one master. In fact, there is this concept of one active, one primary, or one master. Client applications connect to the database, but they can only see one, regardless of whether you have one or multiple copies. It can only read to one and write to one. Why is that? Think of it this way. If multiple servers are fighting over resources, you may have potential corruption, just like two kids fighting over a piece of gum. I don't know. Each application or any application will connect through this single copy of the database or multiple copies of the database through a virtual network name and a virtual IP address, all being taken care of by the underlying platform, which is the Windows Server failover cluster. And that is how SQL Server works in terms of high availability. It is the platform that makes the database highly available. SQL Server is just riding on top of it. And with that, thank you again for the second time around. Thank you.
All right, so we just made DevOps Days history. I don't think we've ever had the same speaker do 2 Ignites in a row. And we're going to go for 3. Edwin, come on back up. We're going to go one more time. No, get off the stage. Get off. I believe we have Boris next. Are you up, Boris? No? Who's next? All right, next up we have Nick. All right, and Nick is going to talk about 3 a.m. hike GitHub. I speak perfect Ukrainian.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this talk will be in Russian. I'm a little bit worried still. Okay. Всем привет. Собственно, я этот доклад придумал вчера, маленький доклад, но идея была у меня давно уже, и идея состоит в том, что зачем нужны звездочки на GitHub вообще. И многие считают, этот разговор будет не про то, что зачем нужно вообще разрабатывать на GitHub, это про то, что вообще, если вы не разрабатываете на GitHub, не коммитите туда код, зачем вам нужен GitHub. И многие понимают это неправильно. И дальше я расскажу, как это понимают. Но сейчас мы говорим, для кого это будет актуально. Я считаю, что это будет актуально для всех. То есть если вы разработчик, если вы operations, если вы тестировщик, это может быть интересно вам. Вы просто сами выбираете, кому это, что вам нужно. Какие есть типичные заблуждения, по моему мнению, насчет GitHub? Кто-то может считать, что у меня нет GitHub, и мне он нафиг не нужен. То есть у меня там приватный GitLab, я туда коммичу, а GitHub это для кого-то там, не знаю, хипстеров, да. Кто-то может думать, что делиться кодом не нужно и даже вредно. То есть, например, там, у меня есть очень важный код, я вообще не использую open source, я классный разработчик, и я не хочу ничего коммитить никуда. Кто-то может считать, что его код бесполезен, и он считает, что, допустим, там, я сделал что-то, это никому не нужно, зачем мне этим делиться. Но, так сказать, дальше я расскажу, почему это неправда. Не стоит так думать. Следующий, кто-то может считать, что GitHub это что-то типа Твиттера для разработчиков, и все меряются, у кого больше фолловеров, и там тысячники, например, там, и все такое. То есть там у меня 100 фолловеров больше. Еще интересная картинка про то, что сколько больше звездочек, того больше, так сказать. Поэтому надо за ними стремиться. Но за репами с JavaScript вы никогда не догонитесь. И еще один заблуждение, которое мне подсказал Юра, про то, что у кого больше звездочек, тот проекты лучше. То есть мы просто берем 2 проекта, там, Kubernetes и Mesos, сравниваем, у кого больше звездочек, тот и лучший оркестратор. Но можно всегда понимать, что есть горшочки с говном. И, так сказать, картинки дальше закончились, и у меня вопрос, зачем это все нужно? И дальше будет слайд про то, что зачем это нужно. Окей. Как сказал Бобук в радио Т несколько раз, что GitHub — это такая социалочка для всех, кто имеет отношение к коду. И к коду сейчас отношение имеют не только разработчики, но и все остальные. То есть тестировщики делают автотесты, DevOps, если бы они пишут инфраструктуру. Таким образом, GitHub вам помогает быть в курсе, что нового в вашей сфере происходит. То есть на GitHub есть люди, это разные инженеры. То есть, например, вы можете подписаться на каких-то разработчиков ваших автотестов, вы можете подписаться на разработчиков, которые разрабатывают Go. И вы по их активности в ленте находите новые интересные проекты, которые вам могут быть интересны. То есть вы видите ленту и видите, кто что там старит, форкает, коммитит. И самое главное, что я хочу сказать про звездочки, что когда вы ставите звездочку проекту на GitHub, вы потом можете всегда этот проект найти, потому что вы можете зайти в свой профиль, поискать по ключевому слову и найти проект, который вы старили там, год назад, и вспомнить про него. Также на GitHub вы можете спокойно коммитить ваши наработки. Даже там, если вот что-то на PowerShell написано, 100% это может помочь кому-то другому. Не писать повторно то же самое. Другой вопрос, что из вашего профиля сразу может быть понятен круг ваших интересов. То есть у вас может быть профиль на GitHub, туда можно зайти, посмотреть, что вы старили, что вы коммитили, есть ли у вас вообще какая-то активность. И если у человека нет вообще никакой активности, мне казалось бы это странным. То есть это обычно какой-то enterprise, дремучий, так сказать. И это даже можно добавлять в ваше резюме. И вместо того, чтобы делать тестовые задания для кучи компаний повторно, вы можете просто давать ссылку на ваш GitHub и договариваться о дальнейшем, то есть разговоре предметно, вместо того, чтобы просто повторять одно и то же несколько раз. И что хотел сказать в summary, что GitHub нужен сейчас практически всем, что фолловить нужно тех на GitHub, кто вам может быть интересен, то есть не нужно всех подряд. И звездочки, как я сказал уже, это отсылки на интересные проекты, которые вам могут быть интересны. То есть вместо того, чтобы делать букмарки в вашем браузере и потом их терять, лучше ставить звездочки и потом находить его в своем профиле. А еще я веду канал про DevOps новости, который называется DevOps Developer News. Он есть в Телеграме, Твиттере, Фейсбуке. Так что подписывайтесь, если хотите. В QR-коде есть мои профили разные. И подписывайтесь на KTOPS, они классные. Если вы еще не подписались. Спасибо.
Thank you, Nick. I hope you all got as much out of that as I did. And next up, we're going to have Boris, so we'll move straight along to him.
Thanks. You lose all jokes, right? Again. Folks, just... Oh, okay.
Don't steal all of my jokes, please.
How it's like, do you like making some start, or how it's like the beginning?
You've already started.
Really? I lose the most important part then.
Quick!
Well, folks, I represent the... Okay. Well,
Start him again. Go on, start him again.
Just imagine,
Start him
guys. No worries. Like, we can like from yeah. Go ahead. Go. Yep.
But now only give him 10 seconds per slide.
So I'm like, it's Boris Drozhik speaking, and I represent the domain, which we call it engineering productivity in company data robot. And the naming is important, and just like try to imagine what you think about it. And I will follow this story. That imagine you like have a disease, kind of like that, and you go to a hospital. You need to find like a proper cure. So this, you don't know what is happening with you, because you have a disease, call it startup, or a business, or whatever. You can call it whatever you want. So you find a cool doctor, you find it on Facebook, Google, whatever. You find a good clinic, and you just sit at the place with this guy. He look over you, you say some words like, what do you feel like, what the problems you have. He interrupt you in a while and said something like, okay, I got it. It's a rare disease. I know what to do. And there is only one thing available on the market right now. And it's a Kubernetes, eventually. Yeah, that I would say like, the problem not in the doctor, of course, he's pretty smart, I guess. The problem that you have an allergy, I guess, on the Kubernetes because it's a second doctor. And you got the pill first time, you got a reaction. And this is not even a problem of DevOps or engineering as itself. Like there's a couple of other kind of like doctors in the marketing, in the sale, and they saying almost the same. If you're entrepreneur, you eventually will have a lot of those guys who are telling you that you need a Kubernetes. Yeah, but yeah, of course, it's a bit different in their cases. They're not like they're not evil, I would say. Just their knowledge is limited to their specific sphere, which is not cool. And in our case as well, like you guys realize that we have those reports just because not even Google sure DevOps works and in what cases. And we're doing all of this data for that, just to like realize is it true or not. So I encourage you do not put all your like forces to encourage to force other people to do DevOps in the way you do it, because nobody's sure. And in your organizations, before you're acting, it's just a recommendation. Like don't do it like instantly as this doctor. You should scan the organism. You should ask right questions. It's not cool when you go to a doctor and in a minute you got a cure. It's 100% incorrect. So in a way, to solve it, you should be scientific and check your assumptions. And even if I say to you that you should be scientific, there is a case when you shouldn't be scientific. Be scientific in this as well, because sometimes you just should act with your practices. You shouldn't collect all this data. For example, that patient is going to die, so you better make some aspirin, whatever. Here's the notion of BizOps. I guess you hear about that. So in DataRobot, what we are doing, each of our department, marketing, sales, even R&D, that we have a couple of engineers who are trying to make things better and operation better there. So we're eventually trying to help those doctors to have more communication, more skills, more automation around. And that what we realized eventually that in R&D, despite we have a DevOps, who basically should do that, it doesn't cover everything. Like it not just doesn't cover, it even don't care about the R&D as a whole. It cares about some delivery processes, or production should be green, but it's not all. And of course, they really don't focus on engineers as well. I mean, developers, they are different. Also, there is people like a leadership as well. Managers also need some stuff. So, like we kind of like trying to realize that we're not just making some specific patient happy, we're making happy all of us. And it's important. So just a second, have a look to the slide and try to realize it's engineering activities just from Wiki, 5 of them, what we as DevOps or whatever engineers automate so far. Doesn't matter, so it was super quick for you, I guess. So this is the last one. I encourage you to expand your vision, expand what you care. It's not only delivery, there is a planning, there is other stuff. Yeah, and we're hiring, yeah. But we're hiring only those people who are interested in machine learning automation or engineering productivity as a whole. I mean, like not just DevOps, but beyond it. So if you're interested in open space, probably we'll talk more. Sorry if I ruined it. Your Ignite talk, it's super fast. Thanks.
Thank you, Boris. Now, I think I know what your problem is. You were actually, you had a problem with autocorrect. So you typed in doctor, and it came back with Docker, and that's why you were, and that's why you were diagnosed with Kubernetes. All right, next. Artem.
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 Yeah.
All right, Artem. Cool.
I'm also afraid about my level of English, but let's start and try. Hello, I'm Artem from Victoria Metrics. I don't know, have you heard about this company or not? This is our first public speech. Victoria Metrics is a time series database where you can store your metrics. And the main, actually, backend is Prometheus. Our key features designed to be fast. Actually, next slide show how fast we are. Long-term storage. Any retention period, really cost optimization processed in case of this. And the next feature is global query view. Any Prometheus users want this. Easy setup, only a few lines of code to set up our project, and native PromQL support. Whatever you want, just write PromQL and let's go. Designed to be fast. We use LSM algorithm under the hood, our engine bands on it. Probably heard this algorithm is also used in ClickHouse, so it's proved by it. And also everything's written in Go. A little bit deeper, fast query engine. fast read, fast write, good CPU utilization, good memory utilization, linear scalability per core. I actually show benchmarks where we can prove that. And optimization for long-living data, years. Also high cardinality data and Kubernetes lifecycle when you have a pods with lifetime 1 day, 1 hour, or something like that. Yeah, long-term storage. Support arbitrary retention from 1 month to 1 year, 5 years, whatever you want. And this is just a matter of the space. I believe you need 0.4 byte per metric global querying view. You may include as many parameters, instances, and write to vector metrics, and all data is accessible by single query from them. Easy step, only 2 lines. 1 line in Prometheus config or in FluxDB, and second is just dropping replacements in Grafana, change URL, and you're ready to use it native from Kyiv. Actually, it's totally drop-in replacement. Every Grafana dashboard must work, I hope. The next one, I believe, benchmarks. So this is GCP and 1,000 data points per second compared with InfluxDB and timescale. And as you see, I said linear per core. It's almost true. And this is 19 million writes per second. That actually sounds a bit amazing, but that's true. You may try it yourself. And about read, this is RPM and really heavy queries. We had 1 billion of data points, 40,000 of data series, and compared to our competitors, what we have, it's 71 and 1 for the single, and on almost the biggest one. Instance, you see the difference, not so high between two, but in any case. So what's next? It sounds like amazing and magic. Actually, this is vertical scaling. If you want, you may try yourself and share with us. I really hope that everything will be okay. And supported protocols, InfluxDB, Graphite, and OpenTSDB, and also Prometheus. Everything you may write using all these protocols, but read only via Prometheus. Our next news, we are going to open source our single node and cluster version next week before Percona Live. The next one will be a request from our community. So we have metrics, but you don't know what exactly are, only by name. And we prepare official Grafana dashboard this month and publish it. And last but not least, it's through support, because we don't use remote read protocol. It's hard to set up alerts, so we are going to support Prometheus standard and prepare our own service for that. And I believe that's it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free.
All right. You're next. Stanislav. That is a good, strong name. Stanislav.
Thank you. Right? And I'll have a talk in Ukrainian.
Ukrainian, all right. Right.
Всім привіт, мене звати Станіслав. Я думаю, що ви вже мене знаєте, тому ми приступимо до нашого Ignite толку. На перекурах молоді девопси дуже часто запитують оцю штуку, а що там VPC, VPN, а як ще DNS, як підключитись, тому дуже швидко для найменших. Я чув, ви хотіли правильно знати, як правильно підключитися до VPC, але є дуже багато але, security групи. Якщо ви там просто по паблік IP ходите, це тупо зрада. Так не робіть. Ми, девопси, ми про мережу нічого не знаємо. От. Я теж не знаю, це нормально, робити треба так. Треба ставити VPN. І треба робити так, щоб це було зручно, бо люди вас просто задовбуть. І безпека. Тобто все потрібно накручувати так, щоб, так, щоб всі ходили через VPN, насправді. Ніколи не використовуйте отакі CIDR-блоки у ваших VPC. Просто запам'ятайте, просто зафоткайте собі десь, запишіть. Коли створюєте нову VPC, просто не використовуйте оці CIDR-блоки. Це вам, я серйозно кажу, це вам, коротше, збереже дуже багато нервів. Можна пояснити на OpenSpace, до речі, про це. Так от, а якщо підходити ще серйозніше і ще краще, то заведіть собі реєстр CIDR-блоків. Нехай це буде на Вікі, нехай це буде Google Doc, нехай це просто текстовий документ. Просто записуйте, які у вас в яких мережах CIDR-блоки, там в офісі, вдома, ну і, звичайно ж, в VPC. Просто ведіть такий реєстр, щоб вони не пересікалися. І так, ви не знаєте, як робити мережу в AWS, ви там новий інженер, і насправді якби не так багато рекомендацій є, коли ви готуєтесь до сертифікації. Ніколи не робіть лісопед. Почитайте. Якщо не знаєте робити як, робіть отак. От берете VPC, кожна VPC на один environment, ставите Bastion VPC, все пірінгом, ставите VPN, VPN для чуваків, VPN на офіс, ставите LDAP, буде вам щастя. Просто зробіть отак, і ви з цього почнете, і ви вже не пошкодуєте. І я хочу сказати, що сьогодні VPN-солюшени для чуваків, вони важливіші, ніж сайт-то-сайт VPN на офіс. Люди це використовують частіше. Не страждайте фігньою і беріть софтварні, звичайні VPN, просто на інстансах, просто які over TLS. Візьміть OpenVPN, візьміть Sophos UTM, 100-500 інших рішень, безкоштовних, платних, яких хочете. Не роутіть весь трафік через цей VPN-тунель, бо буде повільно, буде погано. Віддавайте клієнтам статичні роути на ваші CIDR в ваших VPC. Так правильніше, ну, ви це заціните. Але є DNS. Розумієте, щоб у вас трафік пішов через VPN, потрібно підключатися по приватному IP-шнику з VPC. Проте він резолвується тільки всередині самої VPC, на жаль. Тобто можна там руками прописувати в DNS-ах, але це незручно. Тому ми ставимо проксі DNS в Bastion VPC. Це може бути bind. Насправді він може бути включеним в той же Sophos UTM. Він для себе використовує резолвер в VPC, і ми просто віддаємо його клієнтам, отак просто тупо пушуємо, як DHCP option, і клієнт використовує AWS DNS для всього. Ми так живемо роками, і ніяких проблем з цим немає. Повірте мені, ну, тобто ми не помітили. Тут у вас реалізується Split Horizon DNS. Без VPN у вас все лукапиться в Public IP, з VPN ті ж самі Public DNS нейми лукапляться вже в приватні IP-шники. Що, в принципі, круто. Якщо ви хочете нормальні хостнейми, ви просто робите C-нейми на AWS Public DNS нейми, і якби у вас наступає щастя. І, в принципі, це все. От робіть отак, і у вас буде перемога, і це вам цей сценарій забезпечить вам 73-80% всіх ваших кейсів. Вам буде щастя. Потім ви зможете щось змінити, зробити краще, переробити і так далі. Я працюю в компанії Projectus, дуже класна компанія. Ми сьогодні голд-спонсор. Будь ласка, відвідуйте наших представників в зоні для спонсорів. І наостанок в нас ще є дещо. А це маска коня. Всім дякую.
Alrighty, thank you so much. And what do we have next?
Like this picture?
Mikola. Oh no. What are we doing? Are you crazy? In Kubernetes?
So basically, I'm Mikola. I'm in charge of developing a solution, database solution for Kubernetes. It is Kubernetes operators for MySQL and another one for MongoDB. So I speak to many people and they have only this. First question is this: is it reliable? Let's think how it was before. In old school way, we had this super reliable hardware and super reliable storage and double resort network, double resort power, and we think that accident never gonna happen. but it will. In Kubernetes, it built around the idea of ephemeral, everything ephemeral, and only right database design architecture can allow you to avoid downtime. So, I believe it is time for database vendors to build own Kubernetes operators because database vendors know how own database is working inside and they can build reliable solution. And it is a challenge for database vendors. Yeah, but the next question typically is, hey, what about performance? It is the next slide. It is corruption. Yeah, everyone has rotation in few seconds, but I have rotation in bigger timeout. So what about performance? Basically, you can weight performance degradation in 4 areas. It is CPU, memory, of course storage, and network. Let's think, Kubernetes use Docker. Docker use control groups. Control groups, C groups, has own performance penalty. But because it needs to count how many resources you consumed in your container, by your container. So C groups has performance degradation, but it is very small. What about storage? Storage in clouds is pretty easy thing. If you run Kubernetes in clouds, it is EBS or Azure block storage, doesn't matter. It works pretty well. And if you can use these block storages in Kubernetes, that's great. But on premise, you need to pay a little fortune to get normal storage. But if you have right database design, you can use local storage with right Kubernetes operators. Yeah, and time is going with right. Okay, what about network? I believe that network is a biggest challenge right now, and network performance is a showstopper for moving big databases to Kubernetes. In our test, I see that we have 30%, from 30% till 2 times lower performance in databases in Kubernetes. And next question is it ready for production? You need to have too many yes, too many ifs. For example, if you tested all possible failover scenarios before running your database in Kubernetes in production, if you have enough expertise in Kubernetes, if you know what exact design database has, and maybe if you have a signed contract with database vendor who signed your SLA. And that's all what I have.
So just a quick side note, in 2016, I was running Percona with Galera replication in production on Kubernetes. So it is ready. In 2016, I was doing that. I'm also crazy. And it wasn't that important at production. Oh, next speaker is me. So I want to quickly set the stage before I actually start it. So you're about to witness the greatest Ignite talk you've ever seen. But there's a lot of jokes that, this is my first time doing it outside of America. There's a lot of jokes that may not translate as well. So I'm going to make a deal with you. If I pause and I look at you with puppy dog eyes, just laugh, okay? All right, let's do it. So So my name is Paul, and I'm a developer advocate. And that's weird. I'm not a developer. I'm a sysadmin that learnt just enough Ruby to write some chef scripts. And I'm not much of an advocate, which if you follow me on Twitter, you would probably already know. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I'm a big deal, you should. So I come here today not to praise DevOps, but to bury it. That's some Shakespeare, because I am cultured as fuck. We used to call ourselves sysadmins, and we liked to play Halo. We played Halo a lot, and so we started to write Perl scripts to do our work for us so that we could play more Halo. And we didn't have a no asshole rule. We actually encouraged it. But in this 2017 or so, this guy, Andrew Schaefer, shows up and starts talking about agile systems administration. We're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? This is never gonna work. Turns out it did work, and that's kind of Andrew's story. He tells us something we don't believe him, it turns out to be true. A year later, John Allspore and that guy whose name no one can ever remember gave their 10 deploys a day talk at Flickr. And this was the first time dev and ops were almost on the same page together. They just had the word "and" in there. A year later, Patrick Dubois put together this first conference in Ghent, and he used the creativity the Belgians are famous for took the word development, operations, and days, and just slammed them together and called it DevOps Days. Now, it was in Belgium, so they spent 2 days drinking beer. And they didn't accomplish anything other than argue about how to properly capitalize the word DevOps. That was all they did. They didn't even get around to defining it, which they would tell you is a feature and not a bug, and that's okay because only terrorists write manifestos. And that left us free to cargo cult DevOps however we wanted. So the first thing we did was we fired all of our sysadmins. The savvy sysadmins, we called ourselves DevOps. We got like a $100,000 a year pay raise. It was amazing. And it also left our vendors free to just rebrand whatever it was they were already selling and call it DevOps. I was told I need to change this slide to be Microsoft now, but I haven't done that yet. And Amazon comes along and says, hey, those DevOpses are really expensive. If you come and use our cloud, you can do no ops. You can get rid of them. You don't need any operations at all. So we immediately fired all of our DevOpses. And it didn't work out so well. And we realized we needed those DevOpses. But they had already gone off and gotten more rewarding jobs, doing things like raising chickens. So we were kind of stuck. We didn't know what to do. We didn't have any operations. We didn't have any DevOps. We had nothing. And so Google comes along, and they said, we just invented this thing that's exactly like DevOps, but it's totally not DevOps, called Site Reliability Engineering. And they didn't just define it. They wrote a whole fucking book about it. Now, I haven't read the book. I'm not much of a reader. But I'm told that SRE is when a bunch of developers write some software, and they give it to a bunch of SREs to run on top of Kubernetes. Now, that's an entirely new way of developing software. We've never tried it before. I'm sure it's going to work out great. It turns out there's a little bit more to running complex software on complex infrastructure than just cargo culting a bunch of cloud-native bullshit. Thankfully, Amazon would once again come to our rescue and say, well, we just invented this thing called serverless. And so you don't need any ops or DevOps or any of that stuff because there's no servers. If you're not familiar with serverless, it's quite simple. I'll give you a quick rundown of exactly how it works. You take your WordPress blog, and you get your server, and you throw the server out. And that's it. That's serverless. Now, you might ask yourself, well, where's my WordPress running if there's no server? And the answer to that is you may need to change the architecture of your application just a little bit to work on serverless. But look how fucking simple this is now. Easy. And Google, not wanting to be outdone, shows up again. And they say, we just invented this new thing called Knative, which lets you run serverless on top of Kubernetes inside of your own serverless data centers. And so with that news, I'm here to tell you that you are all fired. We do not need DevOps anymore. However, I have collected a list of jobs that you as a DevOps are qualified to do. So find a job on here, and that's what you can be. I'm actually looking forward to being a a disinfector of railways myself. Thank you. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be emceeing this thing. I can't just walk off. So that was amazing. Hands together for Paul. Incredible. I think that was the greatest Ignite I have ever seen. Okay, so are we going straight to open spaces?
Yes, I hope your talk is finished.
Oh.